Family who watched a sequential conman got free from killing their little girl pledged to fight constantly. The call that broke the Leeson family's bliss always was cool, unfeeling, unexpected in its terrible conclusion. At the point when Donald McPherson rang his brother by marriage Neville Leeson from a distant occasion chalet in Denmark to disclose to him that his lone sister Paula had suffocated, there was no lament, no tears, not even the kindness of sympathy. Maybe he was discussing the climate, reviews Neville. He said, "Where are you?" And I advised him, "I'm with my folks." He said, "I have some terrible news. Paula has been engaged with a mishap." I said, "Your meaning could be a little clearer. Is she good?" And he said, "She's passed. She's suffocated." There was no feeling by any stretch of the imagination. I was unable to accept what I was hearing. How is it possible that Paula would have suffocated? It was strange. Simply both of them in a little house. How is it possible that she would have suffocated in a little pool, a dive pool? His wariness actually blasts. I was furious. I said, "Where right? Where were you?" I was exceptionally powerful with him. Furthermore, first he said he was placing his packs in the vehicle. At that point he was on the overhang. There was no gallery at the chalet. And later he said he was snoozing in bed. It set alerts ringing. Paula never swam, she never went close to the ocean, she never at any point purchased a bathing suit. She had nothing to do with water, at all. However, here she was, suffocated. We were unable to fathom it. 4 years after Paula Leeson's abrupt, baffling demise, her affectionate, adoring family, guardians Willy and Betty Leeson, her child Ben and Neville, are as yet broken by distress. However, the standing torment the family suffers is compounded by a consuming feeling of shamefulness. For Paula's significant other, a sequential liar with a series of false names and 27 feelings for deceptive nature, who was imprisoned in 2000 as far as concerns him in taking £12 million from a German bank, was a month ago got free from killing his better half. The jury at Manchester Crown Court was not allowed to think about the entire of the proof on McPherson, as he at that point styled himself, a fraudster who took out £3.5 million in life affirmation, no less than 7 strategies, obviously without his better half's information. During his 4-year marriage the Leeson family's feelings as his preliminary was suddenly ended by the adjudicator, were of stunned and utter incredulity, for the result was however unforeseen as it seemed to be sensational. Mr. Justice Goose said there were 2 accessible prospects concerning what had befallen Paula. Right off the bat, McPherson limited her, submerged or defeated her in a battle, or pushed her to make her suffocate. Or on the other hand, besides, that she suffocated unintentionally, by an excursion, fall or a week, making her fall into the water. He added, while the first of those choices is plainly almost certain, that doesn't imply that a jury, on the essence of the obsessive proof alone, could make certain of it. He said that while the generous assortment of incidental proof has caused solid doubt, McPherson may have caused his better half's demise, it was deficient to refute it was a mishap. After McPherson strolled free, the family made plans to uncover any new proof that could topple the not blameworthy decision on him. Today, Willy Leeson, 78, sits, calm and stately, in the perfect banquet hall of the family's home in Sale, Greater Manchester, and reveals to us he makes a serious guarantee at his little girl's grave each Sunday. I advise her. I will battle for you, he says, and put resources into that promise as a load of distress and outrage that takes steps to inundate him. Paula was taken from us and not a day passes by when we don't think about her, he says. I will continue to battle for equity for her until my final gasp. I will not ease up. I will not surrender until I bite the dust, he says in the family's first full meeting this week. We're shattered at the appointed authority's choice, Neville adds. We accept from the measure of proof at the preliminary it ought to have been given to the jury to settle on the choice. That is the thing that we're battling with. Manchester police did 3.5 long stretches of totally unimaginable work revealing reality with regards to this man and all that he had done. To our brains, it was by all accounts totally sabotaged by this technique in court. They should not have done any of it. You're annihilated a subsequent time. You have confidence in the equity framework and surprisingly that allows you to down. Eventually. It's a 1-2 punch. The family gives high recognition to Greater Manchester Police for the thoroughness of its examination concerning McPherson's dinky past. As this paper uncovered a week ago, a past spouse and their baby little girl kicked the bucket in a house fire at first idea to be connected to his wrongdoings while he was in prison. Yet they are overwhelmed that their proof was not heard by a jury. We feel that is off base. It appears to be the equity framework is too intensely weighted for the litigants, and indicted crooks for this situation. Over my sister, a casualty, says Neville. The Leesons have been told there is no lawful pathway for them to advance the adjudicator's decision, which they discover endless. However, they are trusting an investigation, which resumes in August, will presume that Paula was unlawfully slaughtered. I think the heaviness of proof was overpowering. We accept everyone knew and could see that he was blameworthy, says Neville. However, despite the fact that the appointed authority said it was almost certain he did it, he permitted McPherson to leave that court. He didn't get a token punishment, he just strolled. Neville's tranquil fierceness stews. Like Willy, he has prepared himself to battle for Paula, the kin he portrays as kind and cordial. The loveliest sister I might have requested. Expressive and insightful, Neville, 46, has become the mouthpiece for his family's agony and uneasiness. He recollects the call from Denmark that rotated their lives from satisfaction into the most disheartening misfortune. Mum and Dad could hear the discussion I was having with Don, he says, and Betty, 72, recalls. Willy was standing up and he fell back in his seat. She cries. Willy adds. I said, he's slaughtered her. He's murdered her. Despite voicing their interests about the idea of Paula's demise to the British Embassy in Denmark, they say they were disregarded. What's more, the family saves the full power of its judgment for the Danish police. They truly let us down, says Neville. They never did legal examinations, they just trusted McPherson at his promise that it was a mishap. From the beginning they had doubts about McPherson. At the point when he initially came into their little girl's life, Willy, an effective money manager who runs the family's affable designing firm in Worsley, Greater Manchester, was disinterested. With no information on his past, to both Willy and Betty it appeared he had showed up, from no place. The couple, hitched for a very long time, emigrated from Ireland and Willy set up the privately owned company during the 1960s, supervising its venture into £1 million endeavour in which Neville, Paula and her lone youngster Ben all worked. Paula, her sibling and guardians were a commonly strong unit and Ben was raised by his mum and grandparents in the home, an attractive, 1930s withdrew house. Into this adoring, familial closeness, McPherson showed up, short, stocky and messily dressed, erroneously implying to be a fruitful property designer with an arrangement of houses. All, it later arose, sold for around £1.5 million. Acquainted with Paula through one of the Leesons' customers and recently showed up in Manchester, in 2013, he quickly cajoled his way into her kind gestures. He understood the path to her heart was through Ben and he imagined he'd composed a will leaving everything to him, says Neville. He additionally lied that he was brought up in childcare, a doorstep infant. Actually he was brought into the world in New Zealand, the child of two adoring parents, and Paula was the sort to feel frustrated about him. She was thoughtful-hearted. She generally needed to help individuals. Both Betty and Willy were dubious of McPherson from the off. Yet, Paula would get protective in the event that we said anything against him, so we didn't scrutinize. We set up with him for the well-being of she, adds Betty. She experiences a heart condition, exacerbated by pressure and anguish. Her voice, delicate and winded, vacillates. At the point when, only 3 months into their relationship, Paula disclosed to her folks she and McPherson needed to wed, they encouraged her to stand by. Much has arisen since about McPherson's monetary undertakings. Degenerate and sinking into obligation. He needed to get an arrangement set up, Willy accepts, to get his future. This, the family fights, included wedding Paula and safeguarding her life as far as possible. In June 2014, they properly wedded at Peckforton Castle, an extravagant scene set in moving Cheshire sections of land. It was a rich undertaking, paid for by Willy and Betty, the main wedding for their 47-year-old little girl who appeared to be besotted. She took me aside and consoled me. "I'll be taken care of, Dad. I'll be good," reviews Willy. "I'll be good," reviews Betty. "I'll be good," reviews Willy. "I'll be good," reviews Betty. "I'll be good," reviews Willy. "I'll be good," reviews Betty. "I'll be good," reviews Willy. "I'll be good," reviews Willy. In any case, even in the approach his wedding, McPherson was, it appears, turning excessive stories, guaranteeing past the point of no return that his best man, because a fly from New Zealand, couldn't go to as his significant other had only kicked the bucket in labor. Furthermore, it struck them as odd nobody from Don's past went to the wedding. McPherson clarified this by focusing on his constant lie about being brought up in childcare. Obviously today, every photograph of the wedding bar one, a dazzling shot of Paula radiating close to her mom, has been eliminated from the family's living room. After the wedding, Paula moved into a £285,000 three-room withdrew house she'd purchased with McPherson, close by. When he was hitched, nonetheless, McPherson was arranging what the Leesons currently accept was a critical arrangement. He paid £460 a month in disaster protection approaches, notwithstanding being overdrawn. He wouldn't come to family occasions except if he needed to, reviews Neville. He'd some of the time come hesitantly then sit all alone and never talk. Created by 00 Breaking News. Daily breaking and more news. Please subscribe. See you in a better world.